Clark Lea adds a commitment from Michael Diatta. He boosts the defensive line and enhances local recruiting strategy.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. I'm Corey Burton. I'm your host, and today we got a really nice show. We're going to talk a little bit of defense. We're going to talk hoops. Hoops needs to get back on track. They're on a 2-game skid. What do they need to do? It's going to be a tough road game against an extremely motivated Arkansas team that just got thumped over the weekend by the Georgia Bulldogs. Vanderbilt needs to get back on track after a thriller against Florida. What needs to happen there? We'll talk about that. Defense, how's the defense going to fare? Yesterday's show was all about the offense, and we're going to continue to flip-flop back and forth between both sides of the ball. But this episode is going to be about the defense. How are they going to fare? What are you looking the most forward to with this defense? I think it's going to be more athletic. We'll talk about that. But the first thing I want to talk about is yet another portal commit. Michael Diatta, third time's a charm. He said no coming out of high school. He said no last year when he ended up at Oklahoma State. Now he is coming to Vanderbilt to add depth to this defensive line. I'm excited. You should be too. So, but speaking of being excited, you should be excited that this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Now, another commit. Anytime you see Vanderbilt gets a commit, it's always exciting because it's just another piece to the puzzle. It's another insight on, and with Vanderbilt's philosophy, it's more insight into what this coaching staff is thinking, who they're trying to replace, what is their mindset when they take these type of players, because it's not always going to be the player you expect. It's probably not even always going to be the player that you're looking at a rankings list and saying, okay, well, maybe that's not the guy we wanted. But what I love about this one is this. This is the most important part about this transfer. He's 6'5", 295 pounds. He's an interior defensive lineman. He played 4 seasons at Virginia before coming to Oklahoma State. But that's not the most important part, right? He's a good player, great player, going to add a lot of depth, going to add a lot to this defensive line as it rotates a lot. But what I love about it is this. He's from Cane Ridge. He's from Nashville. He's from your own backyard, if you're a Vanderbilt fan. He's the guy that when you're, as a recruiting staff, when you're thinking about trying to shut down Nashville, because that's the most important thing, you have to shut down Nashville. You have to create your own recruiting state. I've made this comparison before. I know, well, it could be a bit of a stretch, but the philosophy of creating your own state within a state is where the comparison lies. Now, I hope Vanderbilt in the near future has as much success as Miami did and still does right now as they're playing in the national championship game. I hope they have similar success with this philosophy, but that's what put Miami football on the map back in the 80s. 5 years into this philosophy of creating the state of Miami, they ended up winning a national championship. I'm not saying Vanderbilt's going to do the same thing necessarily. That would be the hope. That would be the goal. But really, you just want to keep the best talent in Nashville. Create the state of Nashville, rope off these borders. And I think even getting guys that left Nashville for other places coming back, I think that even sends a message. I think getting Jared Curtis was probably the biggest recruiting win that you've ever had. Star rankings as well as the location of where he's from, right here in Bellevue, right? So those things matter when it comes to recruiting. Those things matter when it comes to portal. We tried that with Chance Fitzgerald. Didn't quite pan out. They're not always going to, but that is what you want to see. That is the kind of local pride that Vanderbilt is trying to create. Amari Sanders, Franklin Road Academy. That is part of that local that's part of that push to shut down Nashville. And there's a lot of great talent here. And Michael Diatta coming back, I think, gives you a little bit of credibility to that philosophy. I think him being a Cane Ridge product, that's Metro Nashville Public Schools. I think having Vanderbilt have a little bit of credibility within that, because Tennessee is always, or other schools, not just Tennessee, but other schools have always been able to come into Nashville and do extremely well. Clemson got a few Ravenwood kids. Tennessee's always done well with the Nashville kids, most recently getting Ethan Utley from Innsworth. Those type of commitments, Vanderbilt needs to be able to lock those guys down and say, hey, if you come to Vanderbilt, you can get the same experience. And they're trying to build that into making it a similar experience, and making it a similar experience in the NIL market, the rev share market, and all that stuff, which is a major factor in the recruiting game now. Whether you like it or don't, it is a major factor. And when you can sell that to local recruits, that's a big deal. And that sends a message, right? Michael Diatta coming home, playing his final seasons out with Vanderbilt. It makes a statement like, okay, like the quote that he had. This is probably the best quote. He said, really, with it being my last year of eligibility, I was looking for the right fit scheme-wise so I can go compete, play, and have an impact. Yeah. Okay, good. Somewhere that fits my style of play, obviously, is something that Vanderbilt has, all that good stuff. And obviously, this is a quote. Being from Nashville, I watched them a good amount this season. Their defense has always interested me. It intrigued me. And he goes on to say, just being from here, having the opportunity to come back home again, Vandy recruiting me out of high school the first go around and in the portal, and now again, having this opportunity. Oh, I just lost my place. And having this opportunity to finish my last year in Nashville, where I'm from, playing in front of my home crowd, I feel like it was too big of an opportunity to pass up again. It shows you who Coach Lea is as a person, what he's done at Vandy. When he first got the job, they slowly improved. They could tell you how guys were playing, who he was on his coaching staff. Coach Black is a really good coach as well. It shows how far Coach Lea has come as far as building that program. Growing up in Nashville, Vandy hasn't historically been a good football team, but seeing the turnaround he's been able to make in just 4 or 5 years is insane. That's the part of the quote you need to listen to. I'll read that again. But seeing the turnaround he's been able to make in just 4 or 5 years is insane. That is the thing that's going to get people's attention. That's the kind of thinking you're getting around Nashville. That is what it is. It is insane. It's unbelievable. He's been coach. I feel like he's on a streak of like Coach of the Year awards. He's the AFCA president. Like, he's building something right here in Nashville, and local kids are starting to take notice. And yeah, he adds a lot of great depth to the defensive line. I could get into the scheme fit. It's a perfect scheme fit. I think he's going to be really good for this defense. I think he just needed that little extra. He just needs a little extra time. He's going to be a great rotational guy. He's not, I don't know necessarily about him being a superstar, all of that, but that's probably at best half of why Michael Diatta committing is a big deal. That's probably half of it. He's a great player, good scheme fit. But it's that local flair. It's that attention. It's that quote right there. It's what he's saying about Coach Lea. That's not common phrasing. He's talking about coming home. He's talking about playing at home. Home is a desirable place to play in Nashville now. That can't be understated. He's joining a really good defensive line room, honestly. Issa, Glenn Seabrooks, Jalen Stone, Bradley Mann, Aaron Bryant, Nikhil Jefferson, Darrell Campbell, all those guys, right? Josh Singh, Zaylen Wood, and Mason Nelson are gone. And Terry Nabulisi Azalea transferred out. So you got to have some depth in there. Taylor Carter comes in from the transfer portal. Like, it's a good opportunity for this defense to get better and to show out and to continue to bring that Nashville brand to life. And that's the biggest deal. That's why you like it. It adds defensive line depth. Yeah, sure. Right? But that's why you like it. You like being able to get that local kid and to say, hey, I saw what he was doing, wasn't real sure about it, but now I see how insane it's become with this turnaround with just a few pieces. He found something and people are noticing. And that's the most important part. Because in this 27 class, when you're looking not only with Nashville kids, but when you start to branch out away from Nashville, maybe you can take over Nashville. Then you can work your way down I-24, maybe get into pockets around Chattanooga, take that area over, and then go west. UT is probably going to have East Tennessee on lock and part of Chattanooga. They're probably, that's in the Carolinas, and that's probably going to be their area, right? We know that. They're a strong brand too, and don't kill me for saying that. But we've got to work our way out west. Nashville to Chattanooga, west. We got to start taking over Memphis too. We've got a great pipeline to Bartlett apparently. Maybe we should keep that up. But there's some good recruiting out there. And these guys, Keyshawn Bowman at Brentwood Academy being one of the top receivers in the country. Vanderbilt's in the tops of his list. They're being strongly considered. Why? Well, he's close with Jared Curtis, first of all. But Jared Curtis, it's the Curtis effect. It's a real thing. I love it. I'm very excited. I don't know if you could tell. But Vanderbilt is going to be this is proving that they have a plan, right? And it's going to only get better. And they're only going to be able to start pulling some of these high school kids and then supplementing from the portal, developing. It's going to be, I think you're going to like the way this team looks. This team, I think the depth on this team is better than last year. Now, we're going to get a little technical here in just a minute. All right. Games are won in the trenches. How's this defense going to look? We're going to get a little more technical next segment. And we'll tell you why I'm excited about this defense, why I'm excited about the transfer additions on this defense and what they mean as far as shoring up what we're bad at and improving what we were already good at and taking everything to the next level and making this a viable defense. We'll talk about all of that next. Hey, but first, I want to talk about game time, right? There's nothing like college football season. Tailgates, packed stadiums, being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. Too bad that's already gone. Too bad college football season is over now. Oh, well, it'll be back around. But actually getting the tickets, that's the frustrating part sometimes. Long queues, logins, prices jumping at checkout. Well, game time gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. That's why it's the GOAT. It really is the GOAT. I open the app. I open the Game Time app to be certain, to be specific, and looked at upcoming college football games. Obviously being in Nashville, I saw Vanderbilt. Prices were great. I was surprised at how fast it was to find great seats too. The app is incredibly easy to use. I went from browsing to buying tickets in just minutes. I love being able to see the view from my seat before buying, so I knew exactly what I was getting. It's right. We're also right in the middle of Preds season too. So if you want to go to a Nashville Preds game, Game Time. Get on Game Time, right? You get the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what you're getting. Zone deals. Also, you pick the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. That's a game changer. Seeing college football tickets starting as low as $25 made it easy to plan a game day trip. The hockey deals are probably just as good. Knowing prices include all fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. Thank you each and every day. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Now, if you're an everydayer and you already want to and you want to take it to the next level, you should join the Everydayer Club. That's what you should do, because you get ad-free audio. You get access to a members-only Discord channel, which is an app where fans can get together and chat about college football. It's a fun chat. They have different things going on. You can talk about college football. You can go specific with conferences. There's a college baseball section. If you're a college softball fan, they have a thread for that. I don't think Vandy has a softball team, but they have threads for everything. If you want to talk fantasy football, they have that too, right? It's everything there for you. If you want to join this Discord channel, it's absolutely amazing. It's and it's part of the Everydayer Club membership here. LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer. Do a quick search for Locked On Vandy, or if you want it to be even simpler, the link is right here in the show notes. LockedOnVandy.supercast.com. $5 monthly, $50 annually, whichever you choose. Still a great deal. And you get ad-free audio, members-only Discord access, and much, much more. So make sure you won't regret it. I promise. It's a lot of fun. I'm in the Discord channel now. I'm chatting it up. I'm like throwing stuff about the Falcons, hiring Kevin Stefanski. You can go in and talk Titans. You can go in and talk Vandy. Like, there's a lot of possibilities there. Just show the Vandy presence. Just flood the Discord. Make Vandy look good. But do it. Click the link. Now, talking about Michael Diatta and what that means from the local perspective, I think it does send a message. I really do. I think it's something that's just bubbling on the surface right now, and it could explode with another great season. Obviously Clark Lea and crew have to follow up the 10-2 season with another successful season to kind of really cement that philosophy and really put that into motion, right? Because if you're just a one-year wonder, a fluke, and people thought Indiana was going to be a fluke. They got blown out in the playoff, and here they come. They're just a fluke, whatever. And then, they're about to win the national championship. So Vanderbilt, I'm not saying they're on that level yet, but Vanderbilt has to come back with another successful season. So I want to ask you guys, before I really get into this, what would you define as a successful season? To me, it's worst case scenario 7-5. You're playing 9 conference games, so that's already going to be another added on challenge. You play 9 conference games, that's just tough, no matter how you slice and dice it. So redefining success, we'll talk about that over the course of the offseason. Obviously, we'll digest that and dissect that every which way possible and your definitions of success. So, but to me, I think 7 or more wins, I think will tell you that Vanderbilt's on the right track as far as building. We're not at the phase where it's completely consistent yet. But you don't want to dip down into like the 2-win, 3-win seasons anymore. Like, that's going to show you that you're going in that right direction. So for Vanderbilt, we just got to take these just got to make consecutive bowl games and trying to, every 2 or 3 years win that, hit that 10, I would say every third season, probably try to get to a point where you're hitting that 10-win mark every 3 or 4 seasons. You're competitive every season, but you're ultra competitive, and then you just work your way up from there. It's like a ladder. Obviously everyone wants to go 12-0 right away. I would love that too, but we got to be realistic about it. Like there's progressions to this whole process. So one of those progressions is defense, right? And the question is, how's this defense going to do in 2026? And to be honest, you watch that performance against Iowa, and you're wondering, okay, was this defense going to be any good? Like, we haven't really been that great at stopping the pass all season long. Getting carved up against Texas, getting carved up by Auburn, getting carved up by Alabama, by Iowa. You had success against Tennessee, but I think there was more things at play motivationally there in that game that prevented you from getting completely carved up. But they had some success through the air relatively well too. So, but when you look at the way this defense is constructed, Clark Lea saw those stats, saw the film, saw everything that was happening against this defense through the air, and said, you know what? We got to build that. We got to get pressure on the quarterback. We've got to have secondary guys that are going to make a play on the ball. They're going to break on it, and they're just going to create havoc on the front, create takeaway opportunities in the secondary, and we have to get much, much more improved. So what do? They got more athletic back there. Ricardo Jones, probably defensively my favorite portal ad, because he led the ACC in interceptions last year with 6. That's the one I'm most excited about. And also from an edge perspective, CJ Jackson, I think, is going to have a hell of a year. That dude can flat go, man. He's fast, he's long, he's physical. He's good against the run and the pass. I think he's pretty even as far as what he's good at. I think he'll have a really nice impact here on defense. So that'll be a lot of fun. But I think statistically you're going to see this defense that's already climbed out of being a bottom feeder in most defensive categories. They were kind of like in the lower ends of all the defensive categories. I think they were damn near rock bottom after 23. They improved slightly in 24, but still not great. Obviously not good enough. They were 7-6, good enough for a turnaround. But again, still there was winnable games out there in 24 that I think if they had a better defense, they probably win. If they had a slightly better defense, they probably win 7 or 8 games in the regular season that year. Versus winning the 7th game in the bowl game. So, and then last year, obviously, you go 10-2 regular season. Your defense still not great, which is crazy. Run against the run, they were good. They were up and down, and I think at times get tired and get gashed. But like they were obviously better against the run than they were against the pass. So when you look at those statistics and they go up, they continue to rise, and I think that's what got everybody's attention in the portal. They're like, okay, we're coming into an improving defense, obviously a defense that needs more depth. Those boxes were checked, and they got quality depth. Whether you want to look at, and we'll talk about with Mike Huseman on the next episode about portal strategy and what you're really kind of looking for as far as production at the lower levels versus reserves that fit the mold, that fit the bill to sign at some of these bigger programs. Like what constitutes success in any of those categories. We'll take a look at that with Mike Huseman as he comes back from off season after dark. So, but I'm really excited about this defense and the short answer. And again, this is something we can continue to talk about throughout the off season. But the pass defense is obviously going to improve. I like the depth. And this defense is going to be pretty sporty. They're going to be pretty nasty, actually. I think they're going to improve tremendously in the takeaway category this past season. I don't think they were good enough in that category. Obviously, probably would have beaten Texas if they were even good against the pass. They would have beaten Texas and maybe Alabama. Like if they could have stopped Ty Simpson a little more, which, I mean, that proved to be a tough thing to do, but I think they were in a position that if they had a better defense, offense was taking care of them. So I'm excited about it. You should be too. But I want to talk about hoops before we go. I want to talk about this game against Arkansas. It's going to be very, very important. It's going to be vital. I'm going to go overtime a little bit today. That's okay. Stick with me here. We're going to talk hoops next. What's up, everybody? Wrapping up the show here. Locked On Vandy. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being a part of the show. Now, this game against Arkansas, as we wrap the show, at Locked On Vandy, if you want to follow along on all social media platforms, like, subscribe, do all of that stuff. But here's what you need to know about this Arkansas game. This is going to be a tough game, right? And to me, the mentality of coming back home after getting, well, you got slapped around, you made a comeback, tied it up, fought hard, and then got smacked again. It's going to be, that's going to be a motivated team coming back to their home arena. And for Vanderbilt, they're on a skid right now. And that's concerning because you wonder. Now they played remarkably better against Florida than they did against Texas. Like the Texas game was just not competitive at all. The Florida game was. The Florida game, they should have won. And whatever you want to say about that hook and whatever that led to 7 points at the beginning of the second half, you still had all half. So I'm not going to whine about that because what good is that going to do? And I know everyone's pissed about that. I am too. But you had all half. And you led at certain points in the second half. So that kind of erases that. You cannot, and in my opinion is this, you cannot let the refs influence the game. You have to take the game over. If you're a Final Four team, if you're a 1 seed, if you're a 2 seed, as I've been bold enough to say, you win that game despite all of that. And yeah, that sucked. And yeah, we got screwed a little bit, but that's going to happen. Teams get screwed. They have to fight through that kind of stuff, right? If you're an elite team, you fight through that stuff. You don't use it as an excuse. And that's why I didn't use it as an excuse. I didn't want to. I could have. I didn't want to. It was a terrible call. We all know that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We know that was a terrible call. But it didn't matter. Because you got out rebounded 40-26. It doesn't matter. The 7 points are irrelevant when you let up that many, when you get out rebounded that badly, when you get pushed around in the paint a little bit, when you can't stop their post players. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Because they would have taken control of that game regardless. I think it would have played out pretty similarly, to be honest. So those are things you have to be concerned with. How do you fix the low post game? Why was it so good coming into the Texas game, and now all of a sudden it's just kind of really falling apart? Your quality didn't go down. It's probably the fact that you're getting in foul trouble. That's probably the biggest thing. But you just got to find a way to get back control of the rebounds. That's the biggest thing. You've got to find a way to control that. You've got to find ways to get involved on the glass. Your scorers have got to get back in a rhythm. Tyler Nichols got to get more involved in the game somehow. Got to get the ball in his hands. He's got to get to the rim some. He's got to shoot from three-point land some. He's got to contribute to rebounding. He's a forward. He has to be down in there, right? If the ball doesn't come his way, he's got to be down there rebounding. And then moving and setting himself back up for a nice shot. Because he's a great player. I love Tyler Nichols. But I think he's got to get more involved there too. You've got to do some things differently from a scoring perspective. Maybe you turn up the heat. Maybe you neutralize it by making those guys run and run them ragged. And at times in the non-con schedule, you did that a little bit. You would run teams up and down. Now, Florida's probably one of the few teams that could hang with you on that. So I don't know if that was necessarily a great plan against Florida. Florida's just good. But against Arkansas, try it. Run them. Don't let them bog you down in the post, because I think despite what's been much improved down there, and you do actually have a presence down in the paint, as it continues to improve and and the team just kind of figures out a way to make it work for them, run. Those guys can run. Run. Right? Put pressure on them. Make them turn the ball over. Make them make the mistakes. Make them force up dumb shots because they feel like they have to keep up with you. Put pressure on them defensively. Get steals. Get in transition and go. And to me, that's what Byington ultimately wants to do. That's what he did at JMU, or at least when I watched it, that was the feel I got. I didn't watch too much JMU basketball, to be honest with you, but that's the feel I got when I watched them. When I watched a few of their games in the tournament. And you look at it and you go, okay, that's something that we need. That positionless basketball, running, putting pressure on you defensively, creating havoc, creating chaos. I think that's going to be a key there for this game against Arkansas. And for both teams, honestly, if you look at matchups, it doesn't really matter. I think for both teams, they just need to find a way to get their mojo back. Arkansas, obviously, having a tough weekend against Georgia. Vanderbilt losing a tough one against Florida, getting screwed over by the refs, getting out rebounded as well. Like those two things just don't really jive with success. So you got to just find a way to. I think either team, it can be ugly, it can be pretty. It doesn't have to be any particular thing. I think for Vanderbilt, they've got to just really just focus on playing their style of basketball. And to me, that's got to be all that matters right now. That's got to be all that matters. Play your brand of basketball, force Arkansas to play your brand of basketball, put the pressure on them. Tyler Tanner's a star. Let him run the show. Duke Miles, Tyler Nickel supporting. And Miles can get to the rack. Like that dude's tough too. I love watching him play. I love watching him take the ball at the top of the key and just get into the rim. Right? I love watching Tyler Nickel spot up, catch, shoot in a rhythm, and drain nothing but net. Like they call him T-Nick, right? I love watching that. And I love watching him drain threes. So you have Nickel, you have Miles, you have Tanner. You have three scorers right there. Get them involved, right? And this should be a good game. I'm really excited about it. This should be a good game. Hopefully Vanderbilt can get back on track. It'll be a tough road game. Be a really nice win. And I think it really gets you set up for a lot of momentum as you roll through the season. So with that, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate it. Coming up, we're going to talk transfer portal stuff as it kind of winds down, as it slows down. How did Vanderbilt do in the portal? Who are your favorite ads? What are you most concerned about position-wise? Obviously, it's never too soon to talk about 26 rankings, so we'll talk about that. Recruiting stuff, position battles, players you're excited for next season, all of that. We're going to lead up to spring practice and beyond. We'll talk hoops, obviously. We'll talk baseball, obviously, when that season strikes up. And all of that throughout the course of from here until whenever. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Join the Everydayers Club. Ad-free audio, members-only Discord, $5 a month, $50 a year. Really good deal, if you ask me. Make sure you join. Did Locked On Vandy make your Spotify Wrapped? Well, if it did, make sure you tag the National Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform, and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel on the Discord app. And for those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. And on audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football, Locked On SEC. Any of those would be a great fit. Until next time, anchor down. Peace.